Okay.
Raz,
Michael,
special edition of the Generalists.
I love special.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah. And we have Bernard,
Hi, I'm
returning
back.
guest for an episode we haven't shipped yet, but it's coming.
Okay.
And you're back. Today, you're Bernard from
Dorje AI.
Dorje. And we're talking to you because we're working with Cisco to help them with their announcement around a new report they're doing, which is the AI Index. I think you've seen it.
Yeah, thank you for
And-
sharing the report with me.
Yeah. And I think it's super cool because it's like this blind study where they've dug into enterprise adoption of AI across the globe. We're kind of interested in it because there's a lot of Asia stats in here.
That's right.
We brought,
We're in Asia.
and we're in Asia, Singapore, by the way, in case everybody's wondering. And we want to kind of like rap with you about some of these stats, get your, because I think you're doing implementations with customers.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
One.
Also, some of this stuff was kind of surprising, right? Like, and we want to kind of get your viewpoint on it. So, in one of the areas, it just talks about readiness, and we all know that, you know, we were rapping earlier, like to some people, readiness is, oh, I've installed ChatGPT and I'm using it, or it's enterprise readiness, which we know is a whole different beast, right?
Well, we have Copilot.
Yeah, we have Copilot. So it talks a lot about, you know, people are more likely to do pilots now, get them into production. They're 40% more likely to say they're getting some value out of it. Now, whether it's profitability, I don't think we know at this stage. A lot of them are saying they're actively on track to receive ROI from AI initiatives. This was good. So this is suddenly like kicking into gear. And I know you see this with your customers that you work with. But a couple of things that we found really interesting, there's almost like the haves and have-nots of people using this stuff, with like Thailand and Indonesia clearly
That's right.
almost looking like they're ahead of Singapore, if I can, you know, like from a stats perspective. But without naming names, let's kind of say like, and I think I always say this with people when you see the demographics or you see the stock market. When I think about the AI Asia market, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we're quickly bifurcating into a two-tier AI
Yep.
ecosystem.
That's right.
Is that a fair statement?
It's a fair statement, but maybe first I take a step back, right? If you look at the Cisco report, which you very kindly sent me, and I took a look at it, the first thing that really came out of the whole report was that it actually tallies with a few other reports I was looking at in the last couple of months regarding how enterprises adopt AI adoption. You know, there was this very famous report about 90% of the generative AI pilots don't work. But what they never say was the other 10% which make the gains was exactly showed up in this report.
Yeah.
That is actually, so what you're saying, what you're explaining, that this two-tier AI economy is there's what you call the experimentals and the value creators. So at this instant, there's a very small set of value creators actually getting a lot of gains in AI, but mainly in back office operations.
Yeah.
So when we say back office operations, I'm sure you and I would come across enterprise customers where they have a lot of paper and they want to digitize. The AI OCR, let's say you look at it, say 2-3 years back, it's only about 75% accuracy. But now with large language models,
Like it was
it's almost 96%.
accurate.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then last week,
Number.
DeepSeek has just launched a full open source library to reach it about 97%. So that particular segment of the enterprise is actually making all the correct gains on there. But what you said about experimentals and value creators, I think when you start the conversation just now, I say having ChatGPT is not being enterprise ready. You're right. What I'm observing is there is a school of users or enterprises. What they do is, let's open ChatGPT up for business unit 1, support unit 2. Support unit could be finance, HR, IT. Put them in one bucket. Let them try it for a while. And then they will come back and say, hey, is it okay? Then they start rolling out across. Those are slower. Then there is another school where the enterprises actually get ready. And they say, okay, we're going to roll this out here. But we actually add a little bit more. It's not just having ChatGPT. We're going to give you Copilot, Copilot Studio, and some of these additional tools. Put it together and run with it. That's where you see this divide happening. But maybe we can...
So you think it's a kind of a natural occurrence given where we're at with things?
Yes. And if you ask me just now about the question about Thailand and Indonesia, right? So I also happen to have a WhatsApp group with all the AI builders around the region. And what I'm observing is that one of the things that generative AI does is the leapfrogging. So they actually leapfrogging the use of it is because language localization or language translation to English is no longer a barrier of entry. So the usage of AI
Where before it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I observed that even when I was selling AI to enterprises. But there is also the other thing that I also observe, and also comes from my own experience. When we sell to other countries, we find that there's actually a greater, people are more keen to adopt it. It's easier I have this particular experience in Philippines where people want to do it faster than if I were to have to do it, say, in a more advanced economy. You'll be surprised, right? Because if you think about generative AI, it's probably the developed economies need it for economies of scale. But what I'm observing now is that the emerging markets are moving much faster.
Yeah.
But you were referring previously on, let's say, out-of-the-box AI tools, which is ChatGPT, Copilot, etc. But what about the readiness of actually using their own data lakes, their own LLMs?
Okay.
Is it something that we should look at as a readiness?
Yes, that is the correct way to frame readiness, Raz. I totally agree with you. So what actually happens when we think about AI readiness is about actually first putting the data in the right place, having the correct connectors, and basically, depending on what protocol you use, I know the word MCP now is being overlaid everywhere, right? Model Context Protocol, where you can use run AI agents on there. So
it's kind of a gateway for people who don't understand.
Which actually this report was talking about. I think it's about 13% what they call Pacesetters, if I remember correctly.
Right.
And actually, surprisingly, it interlaces with a couple of other reports from where the data readiness of enterprises across the world is about 15%. So it's actually a very close number. It's quite clear. You remember there was a time where any CEO from Fortune 500 say, we're going AI, and then the stock price go up. Then after that, 1-2 years later, you don't hear them saying anything. Usually, I can tell you because as an ex-CIO myself, when somebody wants to do AI, I'll say, okay, sure. Do you want to organize your data first? This is the cost to organize them into a data lake, to make sure we have the correct governance, to do these 5 things, like your checklist. And then the CEO balk at the cost. It's like, okay, let's revisit this later. But let's give everybody ChatGPT first.
Yeah. Do you think it's similar to the times when we are going to the cloud? Same thing?
Yes, something along those lines.
Is that a trip or something I take?
We're going to the cloud?
Exactly.
Depending which drugs they're using.
Exactly. No. I think what was interesting about this Cisco report, I think one of the things is that if they can... I think I need to make sure I got the correct stats, because that's why I brought my iPad here.
There's a lot of stats
there is,
in there.
Yes. There is this question about
you,
4 times more likely to scale pilots into production. It's true. For Pacesetters, typically, because they have their data organized properly, so it's very, very likely they can get the gains very, very quickly. Now, one thing that I want to sort of caution everybody was that I remember this whole... that 95% of AI pilots were not whatever from the MIT report, right? All of those were sales and marketing tasks. It's about people just writing plain vanilla marketing scripts, plain vanilla sales development, SDR, and plain vanilla stuff. I think human creativity is still very important. The messaging, how you write your messaging is very, very important. But where the AI actually shows up in the Pacesetters is that they use it for a lot of the back-end office stuff. For example, maybe search, append, or verify as a checker. Those use cases tend to do much, much better. And once you can get the data in the correct place, you can actually do it much faster. I've seen even data modernization that's being done that way.
By the way, the way I see that how organization can be more specialized with leveraging this AI is by taking their top performer, SDR, and say, every SDR now need to speak with the AI agent, say, use the tone of Joan, because Joan know how to do that. And then
Joan can sell.
Instead of just using ChatGPT and others. Do you think this is the right way to leverage?
Actually, the correct way is to take something like for example, I'll give an example, but not Microsoft Copilot, but Copilot Studio, where you turn it into a workflow. So you have John, which is you. John will put together the sales collaterals, the targeting, go to LinkedIn to pull the different profiles, and then send very personalized messages. Maybe John, this particular CIO was from the same school, with personal affinity, or maybe that this particular CEO went to work for these few companies before, and then he fires, instead of firing used to be like 4 or 5 messages, now he fires 400 messages. So we actually recently, I had a customer that actually had this situation. So they did it with actually someone who just fresh out of school, who knows how to use AI. So they did that. And then what they did later was, the problem is with this fresh out of school, doesn't understand some of the guardrails. Like you cannot say this to the customer, you cannot say this to the customer. So they pair out somebody with no knowledge of AI with this person to kind of standardize the process. Then what they do after this is, then they say, okay, this is how the workflow works using this Copilot Studio. Now, all of you have your own personas. This is the workflow tool. Please do that.
Use it.
Yes. Yeah. And then what they discovered was 80% click-through rate and response.
Wow.
That was a shocker because they were supposed to service the 300,000 small, medium enterprises, very, very large. But the small enterprises is the largest return rate they actually give, because now they can target much, much larger.
While you are talking, I'm thinking about the next wave of agentic AI.
Agents.
Agents.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you said this guy of maybe it's Gen Z guy, doesn't know how to speak with customers, and maybe the thing that's gonna replace him, together with the specialist, with the veteran, with the senior guy, that you spoke about, is gonna be actually the AI agent.
Yes.
And for me, when I say agent, I say software. And there is very ambitious numbers in the report saying 83 to 84% in APJ plan to deploy AI agents. This is number one. Number two, 37 to 38% expect agents working alongside. Same scenario, just talk about it. But regardless, the gaps, it's the readiness. Okay, so network infrastructure and security guys and control.
Yeah,
how they actually can be ready to do that. And I want to ask you, do you think that does agent break existing enterprise workflow? And this is also based on your experience with
so I
Dorje.
think one of the question now is how many agents are the enterprise going to deploy? So one of the things I always do with my clients is, do not come up with an agent to do 20 tasks. Remember the famous internet meme? You have only one job.
Yeah.
When something breaks, then somebody will post the guy who do the programming. Like recently, there was an AWS outage, and then there was this programmer. You have only one job, right?
Yeah.
So what tends to happen is that in all the agentic AI workflows, what the AI builders would like to do is they will say, okay, we will have agent 1 to do task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4. What they don't tell you is there's actually a second agent called the reflection agent. We're going to check, is task 1 properly done? Is task 2 properly done? Is task 3 properly done? And then there will be another agent which actually helps you to put everything together and give you the final output. So a lot of the agent flows are going to be end-to-end, right?
It's like a CI/CD workflow.
Okay, that's where the network part is important, where you will suddenly have a lot of inference hitting the server to actually get the output. That's where the network piece will become.
Because that's very chatty.
Yes. Real-time streaming. You think about don't think about one single customer query. Let's say an AI chatbot with somebody querying. Think of 1 million people talking to the same chatbot in different interface where the data streaming is moving.
A lot of traffic.
Yes. That is where the network traffic infrastructure becomes very important. I think a lot of people always want to say things like, oh yeah, the AI. Then they forget about things like, the network infrastructure is important, the data streaming infrastructure is important, security is important. They forgot all that things. Yeah. But it's still the same fundamentals. Just that the
still
tools change.
bandwidth that we need to use in our network. The conversations that's going on over there.
You can see how much AI is actually stretching the latency. So I'm like a full sucker for always checking things like speed test my home internet and then look at.
What's the result?
Are you on 2 gigabytes at home?
No, I'm going at 10 already.
Really?
Yeah, vanilla. 10 vanilla.
Wow.
And then I will try to even wire it. And then sometimes I want to test some AI workloads. And then I was like, okay, let's see how fast ChatGPT is running. So I put some timer to see the inference cost. And then I look at the data. It's like, wow, there's always spikes here and there. Then it's like running 4 or 5 think of running 4 or 5 clients at one time. I have a Claude, Copilot, and then suddenly you can start really seeing you're stretching the network traffic.
How's the CPU, by the way? Did you measure a CPU, not just?
Yes, sometimes I do. Yeah, but my CPU is fast enough. Well, it's a M2 Ultra. So
what's the? I think this agent thing is more complicated than people let on, right?
That's right.
The people are doing the super basic stuff. But what, in your view, and what is actually working for an enterprise to tackle an agentic workflow?
I think where it really works out very well is when you want to check something. So, for example,
verify something that either whether a human or something else has done it, verify it.
Yeah, correct. Say, I want to do a background check on you, right? There are APIs to do normal background checks, but then there's also the second part where you need to put in your marriage cert to certify that you're married so that I can give you parental leave. So those kind of workflows where you need an AI to actually say, this is a HR requirement. Can you check this, check this, check this? Yes, please go to the HRIS system and give Smitty 6 days of leave.
Grant me my leave.
Grant me my leave, right? Last time is where you usually email the HR person to do it. There's an email component, right? Now it's a direct switch out. The agent is actually doing all that work. Those will work. Then there is the other one is like, you want the AI agent to help you to, after you do the OCR of the information, you may need it to fill up your CRM or your enterprise ERP system, depending on the conversations or whatever. Like, okay, think of the other way. You have we all do, let's say, Teams call, right? We press transcription button, we got all the transcript. Then now we take the transcript and summarize, key points meeting, blockers, next steps, and then cuts and paste into that. That is also extremely good use of agentic AI. I think those are the kind of tasks which is outright boring. People don't think about it, but it's faster.
Yeah, I think it's always that typical thing of, the kind of non-ridiculous, crazy thing that people might think they should do with this is actually the opposite of what they should find the mundane, very black and white task and nail it. One agent, do that one task.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go build another one, right?
That's right.
And lever up on that versus, we should have an agent that, literally boils the ocean, right?
And then, you're talking, I'm thinking from the attacker point of view of having all this wonderful Disneyland access of going from Teams to CRM to infrastructure. Man, like it's like the best highway in the world. And how do you think we can measure this risk?
Wow. Let me tell you, of course, if you were to, there's always, there was this joke, I think, in one of the comedy, stand-up comedy, where it says, there will always be this guy in the enterprise company who will tell you, this is the new stuff. You should do everything on this stuff. So now you have this, probably there will be this evangelist saying, you should MCP everything, right? So you start creating, you see, there's MCP for
That's
zero.
Michael.
Yeah,
and then you have Raz comes along.
Yes. And then you know what Raz will say, right? Say, come on, guys, security.
Yeah.
I'm going to be sticking my head a bit out here, but I say that I think the MCPs are not very stable at the moment. Yes, because what MCP really does is that
it's a hack.
It's a layer, right,
like
to pull out data from different parts, but you really do not know what the AI agent's really doing. So what is the evaluation? Maybe that's the question I would throw back at you and say, how are you? Okay, let's say if the AI agent does this, how do I know the AI agent didn't accidentally pull some other information that it's not supposed to and then pass the context into the system and then or even cause information leakage within the organization? I think we're still living in this what I call a transition world where we don't, even the network traffic or what is being sent out, the pockets of information sending in and out, nobody exactly knows. So somebody has to figure that out yet.
You know what I'm doing as a security guy and trying to bridge the gap with the business, I would say, you know what, you want to do this change and it's like super risky. What's the revenue that's going to make this change to the company? So
I find that there are two parts of it. There's actually that you can do some revenue gains, but you will definitely do a lot more cost savings.
Yeah.
I think in specific Asia Pacific, maybe Smithy, correct me, I find that a lot of the business owners are still focused on cost optimizations and savings.
Yeah, versus find new revenue.
Yeah, find new
create
revenue.
new customers, right?
Yeah,
I think both are good, but yeah, I do think there's this lack of like open a new market or open a new business line or something.
Do you remember just now I told you the story about the young graduate plus the experience they created an entire sort of CRM system, right?
Yeah.
That's actually creating new revenue.
Yeah.
Because what they want to do is increase the wallet spend of each of the SME. Now they can, instead of targeting only 200-300, one account manager say to 1,000 accounts, because these are SME, right?
Yeah.
Now they can actually at scale go 40x more. But then they can also get AI agents to program it to say, okay, if this is the request comes in, that redirect to unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, right?
Yeah.
So that particular piece is actually at scale is actually very interesting. That's a new revenue generating. But then when you think about things like OCR, information passing, checking, what you're really taking away is the eyeballing time of somebody eyeballing the screen, cut and
Increasing
paste.
productivity, right?
Yeah, that you actually increase in a lot of productivity. But and that's the part that I find that, let me tell you a story. In construction, I went to the construction site. I filmed the person typing in the thing. It took him 16 minutes to type in this purchase order. Then what we did was we said, now you can get this scan into a PDF and then send it into AI OCR. We got it down to a minute.
Yeah.
I actually had to film this. And
But now you multiply that times how many projects, how many people. It's a huge win, right?
yeah. Then my boss was able to was very convinced that, okay, we get 80% productivity savings.
Got to do it.
Yeah.
So we got to wrap up. We want to leave with something quite practical. I think when you look at the projects you work on and as you advise and stuff like that, there's this notion of just practical readiness. And in the report, they talk a lot about that. But I want to kind of leave more with, if you're advising somebody, which I think you do, a CEO, what's a really easy thing they should do and what's something that they should kill?
Okay.
Both in the world of AI.
All right. The easy thing to do first is get a list of the tools from all the departments. What are the use cases that they want to use AI for? Okay. There is a second conversation. I think that question is more CIO.
Okay.
What are the data infrastructure, network infrastructure, security infrastructure that can support if we go to scale with these tools? We're right at this situation where I think the pilots have transitioned some small production workloads, but we haven't go it at full scale. When you reach there, this conversation becomes more important. I find that this conversation, sometimes the CEO brought the CIO into the meeting. And then when I ask them questions like, okay, where are your data sources? The CIO don't even know where some of the skeletons are.
Let me get back to you.
Yeah, I'll come back to you, right? And then they come back to you is, there's no second session.
Just pressing on the phone. Hey, John, can you call Kelly to come?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, they'll call the VP, or then the VP will say, okay, but there's actually...
Oh, it's my lunch break.
Yeah, so right? So that skeletons in the closet piece is the one that the CEO had to watch out for. That's where most of the cost is coming from. The tools piece, this is very strange. I scoped about probably 100 over projects this year for different CEOs in different regions, different countries, Middle East, Asia, etc. One of the initiatives of the 3 is always about enablement. And it will be always packaged in a very, very different way. You say, oh, we want to make this productivity gain. Then as you ask, then I always ask, why do you need to build this? You can just buy a tool off the shelf. But then they will say something like, no, whatever. Then after you continuously probe it, then they realize actually they want the tool. So I just told the CEO, look, there are 6 groups here. They all want enable of 212 to 26. Can you get them enabled? Then he was like, okay, then whose job is it? Procurement. That is the first piece. If you cannot even get that first piece correct, everything else, nothing's going to work.
Yeah. And what should they stop doing that maybe they think should be, I imagine there's things they think they should be doing and they should stop because it's actually not working.
It's kind of funny. Someone once saying to me is, don't try to keep figuring out, go and try something. Try something, but don't give access control to secure data. Use some fake data. Try to see what does it really look like. The companies that made it, typically what they do is they generate synthetic data to test out how is it going to work. And then after that, they go and do
without putting their real data at risk.
What about the culture side? Like there are some CEOs say, all this company from tomorrow, they have to use AI, period.
Okay, they can. except no one's going to respond. Let me give you an interesting data point. I have a use case I can't talk about. It's a digital first company. So this is a company, you probably know it's like a startup unicorn, right? They are about, they need to convert themselves from digital first to AI first. They took 12 months and the first 4 months were a disaster. And average age of the company, 29 years old. Strange, right?
Yeah.
These are the people who's going to be, like Gen Z is supposed to be using AI.
Be easier, right?
So let me tell you one specific situation why that happened. So traditionally, if let's say I'm a HR guy, onboarding partner, I want to build this new app. What will happen is HR guy calls the HR head calls the product head brings in the UI UX person, then develops the concept, goes into the front end, back end developer, then develop the app, DevOps. So at first it didn't work. So this person went to vibe coded the thing over a hackathon without real data. They just took show a bit of snapshot data. The CEO was in the thing. So he said that as they vibe code, this is great, you should do it. Then they suddenly realize, then why is it we couldn't do this for the longest time? Because we need to go through this 4 chain. Now this person can directly vibe code the thing,
DevOps.
Go to the front end and go to DevOps straight down. So that whole chain in the 4 disappeared. And this is where the enterprise businesses, the CEO must watch out is there are a lot of old processes. They were there for a reason. But now because of AI, everything breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is awesome. We know you got to go. You're off to teach. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll just remind everybody the report, Cisco AI Index.
It's a good report,
Download
by the
it.
way.
Yeah, I think, one of the things we talked about is we think actually there's a lot in here for startups to learn from and to find spaces to sell to enterprises, because you can see where people are stuck and where they're not, right?
So maybe just to end this counterintuitive point, right? Before that, I was putting this teaching slide on and say 95% because all the AI solutions are point solutions. There's no end-to-end. I was away last week for a holiday. I said, now I have to change the slide to except until 22nd of October. Because then I flashed the next slide. OpenAI has just launched Agent Kit. And then because Studio have just launched, everybody were launching the same Claude skills all the same week. They were like, sorry, I need to revise all my priors again. Now it's becoming end-to-end. What should I do?
It's never going to stop, man. It's never going to stop.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you for doing this, Bernard.
Thank you. Thank you for
Have
coming.
a great day.